Witness number 2, digging up the past. Thinking about archaeology. You see, people say this about the Bible: it's just a fiction, it's a fairy tale, it's made up stories, there's nothing historical to it at all. But you know, the great thing about the Bible is that because the Bible is a collection of documents written within history, it contains references to history, which therefore can be tested. Before the 20th century, there were many critics of the Bible. They discredited it. They say that it historically was so inaccurate, it is just really a fairy tale or some kind of religious document. Yet in the 20th century, archaeology just exploded. The digging up of the past exploded. And all such claims to the Bible have been really quite reversed. So for instance, a long time people questioned the accuracy of Daniel chapter 5, a chapter in the book of Daniel in the Bible, which mentions a Babylonian king named Belshazzar. Now, the archaeologists of the time said, well, there wasn't a king called Belshazzar. Actually, at that time of Daniel, the king would have been Nabonidus. And therefore, the Bible's got it wrong. Nabonidus was king, Belshazzar wasn't. Then comes 1956, and 3 stone tablets were found. And these tablets showed that while Nabonidus was king, he had gone off to war to fight with the Persians. And he entrusted his kingdom to his son, who was called Belshazzar. Bible was right after all. Or you go to the New Testament and you go to the book of Luke. About 150 years ago, scholars in Europe started rejecting the historical records of Luke. They say he wasn't a historian, it was all made up stuff. And these academics declared that there was no evidence to support the existence of several locations that Luke mentions and several of the leaders that Luke mentions. And therefore, you know, historically it's not a document to take seriously. Then comes along one of the greatest archaeologists of all time. His name is Sir William Ramsay. And after years of field study, Ramsay completely reversed the view of Luke and the view of the Bible, and actually the view of a lot of first century history. He writes this: Luke is a historian of first rank. Not merely are his statements of fact trustworthy, he's possessed of the true historic sense. In short, this author should be placed alongside the greatest of historians. Now Luke, he begins his book like this. Very interesting, listen to it. Many have undertaken to draw up an account of the things that have been fulfilled amongst us. He's writing about the Jesus story. And he goes on, he says, just as they were handed down to us by those who from the first were eyewitnesses and servants of the word. That's Jesus. Therefore, since I myself have carefully investigated everything from the beginning, it seemed good also to me to write an orderly account for you, most excellent Theophilus, so that you may know the certainty of the things that have been written, that have been taught. So Luke is this first-class historian. He is writing this orderly account using first-hand eyewitnesses to write his account of Jesus. And in that account, he talks about Jesus, his miracles, his death, and his resurrection. Dr. Nelson Gluck, probably the greatest modern authority on Israeli archaeology, said this: no archaeological discovery has ever controverted a single biblical reference. Scores of archaeological findings have been made which confirm in clear outline or exact detail historical statements in the Bible. And by the same token, proper evaluation of biblical descriptions have often led to amazing discoveries. He's saying the Bible is a historical book and you can trust it. Witness number 2, digging up the past.